Welcome to Doctrine and Devotion, a podcast that explores Christian faith and practice from a Reformed Baptist perspective. My name is Joe Thorne. I'm the lead pastor of Redeemer Fellowship in St. Charles, Illinois, and I am not alone. I am not by myself.
Are you going to let me introduce myself, or are you going to take over now?
Well, I'm used to it. You basically abandoned me. You basically abandoned me, and I had to do it all by myself. Thankfully,
one episode.
Got a lot of praise for that episode.
Yeah.
Though I think it was pity praise. I think they were
it was good. It was a good episode.
Oh, look at
no, it was a good
by
episode.
Himself.
Anyways, this is Jimmy Fowler, executive pastor at Redeemer Fellowship.
When he shows up, you're executive when you show up.
Time.
Well, all it takes is one time.
All it takes is one time?
And you look rough, dude.
I am tired.
I am tired. What they call bed scars on your face.
Yep.
You literally rolled out of
Dude,
bed.
I rolled out.
And it's 1:30 in the afternoon.
Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
It's 9:30 in the morning.
Which doesn't make it any better.
I'm sure you were working hard. Did you have a rough week or just a late night?
Rough week and then late night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Rough week and then Michelle and I just spent,
fighting.
No.
No,
just hanging out, talking.
Yes, hanging out.
Yep. It was.
It sounds great.
There was no Netflix and chill. I know what you're trying to.
I'm not insinuating
I know what you're
anything.
trying to insinuate.
I just think, spousal time and conjugal love is a good thing. That's all I'm saying.
Anyways.
Yeah, man.
We made some homemade ravioli last night.
Oh, I saw the pictures.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I just tell you right now, if I wasn't married to Jen, and you weren't married to Michelle, you're wife material. Just based on your cooking alone, I think you're wife material.
Well, see, I thought you were going to go a different direction there.
No. So, it's Reformation Day. It's Halloween. Are your kids going trick or treating?
No.
Oh, because you're COVID fearful.
Nope.
You're afraid of the COVID.
No, it's not that.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of the COVID fears.
You're afraid of ticking off all your neighbors?
I don't care about ticking off the neighbors. It's more about I don't want to deal with people yelling at my kids.
Yeah. What are you doing out here? And they'll be like, I have a mask on. They're like, not that kind of mask.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with that because I would definitely react. I will react, and it might be with eggs. It might be eggs.
How about if you take me and they can yell at me because I will look like a kid?
You know what? That might work well. We could do that. A bunch of the neighbors, we're all getting together. And we're going to have a little thing in the backyard.
Nice.
But yeah, no, it was more about not wanting to deal with these people.
You know what's weird is we've always done the trick or treat thing, because
are you guys doing trick or treating this year?
Not this year. I think
now is it because of the age of your kids? Like
the older ones, they're not good though because we got a 16-year-old and a 19-year-old.
I'm thinking like Maddie and Bonger. I mean, they're not at the age where they typically wouldn't go. Right. They would still want to, but
Maddie might go with a friend. I think I'm not really sure. But Killian's like, nah, don't even want to. Which is where he just doesn't want to do it. So
he's got your laziness.
No,
He's got your laziness.
First of all, I'm not lazy. I just don't like. There's a difference. There's a difference between being lazy and not getting your work done, and then just like I don't want to go into that whole thing over there.
Yeah.
So, but with him, it's more probably he just likes staying home.
Okay.
He's just one of those kids. I guess he's become that because he's gone every year before. So. Anywho, so you're going to do a little thing in the backyard.
Yep, with all the neighbors, we're going to get together, have fun.
And then tomorrow we're not going to church.
Yeah. Yep, no in-person service because we want to allow people to sleep in after night of
Halloween. That's right. We're suspending services because we really want people to make the most of Halloween and not feel drained on the Lord's Day. Yeah. Nope. Somebody came down with symptoms and tested positive. So we just said, all right, our policy is we got to shut down for 2 weeks and 2 Sundays or whatever it is, right? Something like that.
No.
That's not the policy.
No, it won't be 2 Sundays.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I saw you say that, and I'm like, I don't think he's read any of our comments.
I read the comments, but I read the policy a while ago, and that's what I was basing that off of.
Okay, I'll take a look at the policy. The policy doesn't say 2 Sundays.
I might have looked at the original.
Oh, maybe
the original, first edition.
I wish everyone could look at Joe right now as he's like kind of got this wry smile on his face because he knows he hasn't read anything.
That's a lack of sleep. That's what that is.
Anyways, no, it's just it won't be 2 Sundays.
All right, good.
That's a bit of an overkill.
Good.
Based on the timing of it, 1 Sunday suffices.
Cool. Awesome. So we're none of us are happy about it. Okay. So don't really yell at us.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Redeemer people are gonna yell at us, but don't yell at us. We're not happy about it. We're trying to take care of people. We got all kinds of people, all ages, with various needs, and
we also share a space.
Yep.
Within a church that
that shares their space with all kinds of people. So we're just trying to be generous and kind and careful with people.
That's right. We're people.
Yeah.
We're
not people pleasers, though.
No, we're just people.
No, that's right. We're people.
People.
So we're going to talk. We're back in the Baptist Catechism, and I love question 10.
Here we go.
It's an important one.
All right, I'm going to read it. You answer it. Ready?
Okay.
What are the decrees of God?
The decrees of God are His eternal purpose.
Oh, I knew you were going to do this.
According to the counsel of His will,
stare at me
whereby for His own glory He has foreordained or hath foreordained whatsoever comes to pass.
So I was going to have a bit there about you memorizing it, but then I realized halfway through I'm interrupting as you're saying. So do it one more time.
Yeah, no, I got it.
What are the decrees of God?
The decrees of God are His eternal purpose, according to the counsel of His will, whereby for His own glory He has foreordained whatsoever comes to pass. So
memorized. Well done.
I only got a couple of them. That's a good one. And because it is such a big doctrine, and this succinctly says what it is. It covers the bases, but it also brings up a bunch of questions, which we're very thankful for Benjamin Beddome.
Oh, Beddome is the best.
Because in his exposition of the Catechism, he asks follow-up questions, provides answers and scriptures, and actually, we're just going to work our way through that.
Okay.
Because it's pretty good. It's pretty good stuff.
So, Joe, hath God predetermined all future events?
Yes. Ephesians 1:11 says, He worketh all things according to the counsel of His will, of His own will.
Of His own will.
And, His will and His own will would be the same thing, Jimmy. I'm just trying to keep it short.
No, but I think what we're trying to do is it really puts a fine point on it. His own will. He does not have to seek outside counsel from Himself.
That is correct.
Within Himself, He goes according to His own will.
And this idea, has God predetermined all future events, right? That means there's not one thing that isn't a part of God's plan in some way. Yeah. I've shared before that I had a Greek professor tell me in Bible college, he was arguing that God has not foreordained all things. And I said, so how much has He foreordained? And he goes, 40%. And he was joking and trying to push my buttons a little bit, but he didn't believe that God foreordained all things. But Ephesians 1:11 says it, right? He works all things according to the counsel of His own will.
Yeah,
I like it.
And the notion that He might not know it or He doesn't foreordain means He's learning as He goes. But then things would happen by chance, right?
Right.
That would mean things would happen outside of His control. And and right here, Beddome, doth nothing come by chance? No, the lot is cast into the lap, but the whole disposal thereof is of the Lord. Proverbs 16:33. So
does that mean that we should go to casting lots to find out what God wants us to do, since He has determined how they fall?
From time to time.
40% of the time?
40% of the time. Typically in Vegas, I like to cast lots on the craps table.
Yes, you do. You crap lots.
That was pretty good. I just want you to know that was well done.
So, and again, we obviously are not of that stripe where we would cast lots and trust that it means that we can interpret, how they fall as if we have some kind of Christian voodoo going on. So, yes, even though God has predetermined how the dice roll before the foundations of the world, when you throw the dice, the numbers that come up were predetermined. But if you were to assign your own meaning to these numbers, it doesn't mean that when you throw them, it's going to come up in a way that makes sense. Because it's all according to God's own will, His mysterious will, like you were saying, not anyone else's and not ours. In fact, if my memory serves me correct, this was one of the arguments that I think some of the Puritans made and others about playing games of chance. Because to play a game of chance is to play games with God's providence. He has foreordained all things, and you're just kind of goofing around with it, man. Don't be playing with things that God has foreordained. Yeah. I don't think we buy that because He's foreordained literally everything, and I do not believe that playing a game that involves the role of a die or dice is mocking God or belittling God, because He's foreordained it all. It's not just that, now he's a little out of breath because he did something and he had to do it because we chose to play a game or something. Now, it also says, to put a finer point on it, Beddome says, do God's decrees extend to the conduct of good men?
Yes. Ephesians 2:19, they are created unto good works, which God hath before ordained that they should walk in them.
Look at that.
Look at that.
So,
but I mean, not good works, just good works though, not necessarily their salvation. Because I mean, that I can choose whenever I decide.
You know what? We may not, as traditionalists, we may not like word of faith theology and name it and claim it, except when it comes to salvation. Yes. That's when we name it and claim it.
That's when I name it and claim it as my own.
Blab it and grab Jesus is what it is. No, but Benjamin says that, right? Do God's decrees extend to their salvation? And he says, yes, they are vessels of mercy, which he hath afore prepared to glory. That's from Romans 9:23. So not only, and we've talked so much about this, everybody knows where we're coming from, that God has predetermined the salvation of his people. He has chosen a people for himself. Christ redeemed those people. The Spirit regenerates those people. But also to even the good works and the conduct. So, man, the good things that are laid out before you that you can do in any given day are not just rules that you're trying to live by. They are opportunities that God has sovereignly placed before you each day. And that makes it really exciting, because the law never changes, but the opportunities do, and my circumstances shift. And so like I'll be on the road on Sunday driving down to preach in St. Louis. And on the way, I'm going to have lots of opportunities that I might not have while I was here. And you'd say, drive recklessly. If you're driving down St. Louis, you'll eventually pass houses of ill repute, you could say, right? Lion's Den. I always see an ad for a billboard for the Lion's Den. Obviously, I don't pass it around here, though we do have a strip club called Blackjack's in Elgin that I pass sometimes. But, you're driving out by yourself, and when you're alone, like, you have these opportunities to sin in ways that maybe you might not otherwise because people can't see you. So you have these opportunities for good works, and it should be exciting because it means that on my way down to St. Louis, God will place opportunities for me to choose him over sin, to choose righteousness over evil. And it's not just that I have a list that I'm following, which in a sense that's true, but it's more like God has prepared these opportunities for me to walk in, and that is exciting. It reminds me how real God is and how present he is. But what about bad people, Jimmy? Because
quote unquote bad people,
bad people like bad friends or whatever. So like obviously we can wrap your brain around God preparing good works, but what about the conduct of wicked men?
Yes. Acts 2:23, him being delivered by the determinate counsel of God, ye by wicked hands have crucified and slain.
Wait a minute. Did Peter say that God determined the crucifixion of Jesus?
Ye by wicked hands have crucified and slain.
I got to do the math on this. Hang on. So
you're going to do the math?
I'm going to try and do the math. God determined in his own counsel, right? Which
of his own will. We already talked about.
So he's determined by his own counsel and will that Jesus would be crucified
and slain
by wicked hands. Okay, actually, that's pretty simple math. That's just it kind of says what it says.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
That's addition. Yeah, I can do addition unless it's three numbers. Once it gets into
three, you're out.
Out. No, come on. When is that ever going to happen in life? I don't worry about three numbers. I never have more than $20 in my wallet.
It's always like when you were a kid, they're like, you're never going to have that T85 in your pocket. You got to learn how to do this math because you're never going to be able to carry around a pocket or carry around a calculator.
I have no idea what a T85 is.
Oh, you're that. Never mind.
I had no idea. What is a T85?
Oh, that's so cute. Google image.
Is it a protractor?
No. I don't know what it is. Google it. I just got within the context of me saying you're never going to carry around a calculator.
A calculator. T85.
You're going to have to figure this stuff out, guys.
ICD to code, diagnostic code, T85.
T85 calculator? Isn't that what it's called?
T85 calculator.
Maybe it's TI-85. Texas Instruments?
No, yeah, T85.
Yeah, I was right.
TI-85. Yeah, that's what it is.
Anyways.
All right. So, yeah, you had to use one of those?
Everyone did.
I didn't.
And they would sit there and tell you, hey, you better learn your math. Your 1 + 1 + 1. Because you're never going to have you're not going to carry around a calculator for all your day.
But you did learn, you're good at math. I see you do it in your head on the phone all the time.
Yeah. But I still have this.
Oh, you have the iPhone. See, they weren't counting on that.
They weren't counting on the iPhone.
That's right, suckers. You dumb teachers.
Steve Jobs got you. He made you look foolish.
Now, listen, I never had to use a calculator. That's another way to say it. I never had to use a calculator in math class. Never once. Never once.
Did you have the thing?
Nope.
The thing where it slides?
The abacus?
The abacus?
No.
You were the abacus.
Nope.
Did you make the abacus?
Okay, there might have been an abacus in there. I was in what they called basic math, and there was we never even hit pre-algebra, so yeah.
You're so proud of yourself.
I'm not. I feel embarrassed now.
So even this foreordaining, right? The conduct of wicked men. Now, is it also then to their destruction?
Yeah, I mean, Benjamin points this out. Who were of old ordained to this condemnation. This is when we're getting into the doctrine of reprobation, which we've talked about. Just search the website to find that episode. We have a sovereign God who's over all things, who his decree extends to the actions of wicked men, and yet he holds them responsible for what they do, because what they do of their own volition. There's a mystery there that we can't totally comprehend, where God is sovereign and mankind is responsible. But here we see people don't go to hell because God determined to throw them in hell. It's not quite. It's not that kind of a line. God is determined to withhold saving grace from them. And yes, he has decreed all things that happen. We're responsible for what we do, and we essentially inherit hell for our deeds. In other words, reprobation is the decree to withhold saving grace. Condemnation is the punishment of sins, or hell itself, for what we do. And so, yes, God is even sovereign over all of that. So, Jimmy, with all of this talk about, say, God's sovereign over all men, wicked and righteous, and all of that. So Benjamin says, is it lawful for men to cavil at God's decrees?
For Steve McCoy, that means complain.
Yes.
Okay. Complain.
You know what I like? Henry Cavill. Can't complain about that guy. He is a handsome Superman.
You know what? He used to be quite overweight as a kid.
Was he chubby?
Yeah.
He's from England.
I know, dude. Yeah. I watch way too much British shows, so never mind.
Yeah.
But there was an interview.
They're all kind of doughy over there.
So there's an interview where I guess he went to a boarding school, but never mind. You forget it. It's going to take too long.
But by the way, put a finer point on it, though, to cavil is not to complain, but it's more of a petty complaint. But go ahead.
Dude, I love that you complained by definition by being petty.
I cavilled about your definition of cavilled.
About my cavilled.
I totally cavilled you.
But no, Romans 9:20, who art thou that repliest against God? Hath not the potter power over the clay of the same lump to make one vessel to honor and another unto dishonor?
The Romans 9 is a hard chapter, not because it's necessarily hard to interpret, but because it says really hard things.
Yeah.
It essentially says, watch your mouth. And before
check yourself.
It's not wrong to ask questions. It's not wrong to question God in faith, waiting for an answer, but to emotionally and superficially complain because you don't like it or can't wrap your brain around it is weak. He says God has the right to do what he thinks is best, because what he thinks is best is in fact best. He only does what is right. And so it may not seem good to us, but ultimately what God does is good. So there should be no complaining. So if we go back to this idea of, God's own will, like the pleasure, they are all according to the good pleasure of his will in Ephesians 1:5. This is when Beddome asks, are God's decrees sovereign and free?
Ooh.
Yes, that he is not compelled by anyone or anything outside of himself in his decrees, which means that this is the difference, I think, between fate and God's absolute sovereignty. Fate is this idea that there's this things are the way they are. There's no free will. It's just a blind machine that runs. But these are God's choices that were made in eternity past, right? And which is why he asks, are these decrees eternal?
Yeah. Yes. Ephesians 1:4, for we are chosen in Christ before the foundation of the world, right? Are they infinitely wise? Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Ephesians 3:10-11. We read of the manifold wisdom of God according to his eternal purposes. So they're sovereign and free. They're eternal. And yet we know we could trust that they're infinitely wise.
And that puts us at ease, a people of faith that wrestles with, and it's appropriate to wrestle with the sovereignty of God, the eternality of God, the immutability of God. That makes sense to wrestle with it because he's infinite, we're finite, and our faith isn't perfect. So we are going to wrestle with it. So when we see in Scripture that all that God does is done in infinite wisdom is a comfort to us. It puts us at ease. And he asks, well, they're not only wise, but are they most holy?
Yes. Isaiah 25:1. Thy counsels of old are faithfulness and truth.
Yeah, so it's not just that they are wise in their outworking, but they are pure. They are righteous. God is not like, we all have plans, right? We have two candidates who are running for president. They have their plans. Right? They have the decrees that they're going to try and make. Of course, they're not like God's decrees, but they have their plans. And I think it's fair to say that their plans are not most holy. There is probably in each candidate a mix of good motives and bad motives.
Really?
In many of the things.
Really?
You think that's hard to say?
Oh my goodness!
Well, I'm not trying to shock anyone.
I am shocked by that.
So, Beddome goes on. All right, what are you doing on your phone over there? You've been nonstop on the phone. What are you doing? You text it.
I got it.
Okay. All right. You responded. Put everybody on hold. Tell Colson we're in the middle of something right now.
Let us continue.
Okay. Are his decrees impenetrable and unsearchable?
Yes. Romans 11:34. Who hath known the mind of the Lord?
That would be nobody.
Not one.
We don't. God's ways are not our ways.
Yeah.
And so that's also comforting for me to know. Maybe it's frustrating to some, but for me, as I can't fully grasp it all, well, that's appropriate because no one knows the mind of the Lord but the Spirit, right? So that makes sense. I go, okay, I'm not supposed to totally understand everything here, only what I can grasp. And are these decrees absolute and unchangeable?
Yes. Job 23:13, he is in one mind, and who can turn him? I mean, and this to me is really comforting, right? As we're talking about the whole time, that God's decrees are infinitely wise, they're most holy, they're impenetrable, and they're unsearchable, but they're absolute and unchangeable because we do change. We're finicky individuals, right?
Yeah.
And yet God, being infinitely wise and most holy, his decree does not need to change at all.
Yeah.
It is what is best for us.
It doesn't need to change, and it can't change because God is eternal.
Yeah.
What he has said and determined is before and after the fact, right? I love Numbers 23:19 because, and we've talked about this in the past as well, but it says, God is not man that he should lie, right? So I think most of us get that off the bat, right? Because he's holy. Or a son of man that he should change his mind. Has he said, and will he not do it? Or has he spoken, and will he not fulfill it? God does not change his mind. Now, we've done an episode on that, so you can look for that on the website as well. But let's just say this, that God is not like us. And so as the most holy, all-wise, eternal God, what he has decreed, what he has promised is sure to come to pass.
Mm-hmm. And are they calculated for his own glory?
Duh.
Yes, that's what Benjamin says.
Yeah,
duh.
It doesn't say yes. It literally says DUH exclamation point.
Duh.
Proverbs 16:4. He hath made all things for himself. It's like, if any of you are familiar with Reformed theology, if any of you have even read a couple of pages of one of John Piper's books, right, then you get this, right, that God does all that he does for his own glory. And we glorify God through faith and obedience. But what Piper likes to say is God is most glorified in us when we are most satisfied in him, that there is a Christian joy, a deep-seated spiritual joy that we get from God's grace, from salvation, from his mercies. And so he is glorified in all things in his decree. And as that decree is worked out in our lives, he is glorified. And then we glorify God as we respond to those things in faith and patience and thankfulness and gratitude and dependence on him. So, Jimmy, Benjamin asked this, are all God's decrees accomplished? Or maybe some are kind of, some are like not really going to get done? Like some of the tasks on my to-do list.
He's not like you, so no.
Oh.
Isaiah 46:10, he declares from ancient times the things that are not yet done.
So all his to-do list gets done. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, they will all be accomplished.
Yeah,
yes.
so
Isaiah 14:24.
Got it.
Surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not like me.
No.
What's that like?
And will anything come to pass that God hath not decreed?
Maybe.
No.
Oh, sorry, no.
Lamentations 3:37. For who is he that saith, and it cometh to pass when the Lord commandeth it not?
So yeah, I mean, this is, again, if it happens in your life, it is somehow a part of God's decree. That doesn't mean that the thing that was done to you was good, or the thing that you experienced was pleasant. It doesn't mean that there isn't evil in the world that will be punished someday, but it means that there is nothing that comes into your life that isn't somehow a part of God's decree. His eternal purpose, according to the counsel of his will, whereby for his own glory he's foreordained whatsoever comes to pass. That whatsoever means every detail of your life.
Everything, yep.
I remember sitting, I was talking to a Reformed guy when I was a freshman about this, and we were kind of talking through it, and has God, and I hadn't really thought about it at this point, has God foreordained everything? And he took a pen and threw it at me, and it hit me, and he goes, God foreordained that, which was a good teaching lesson for me. Like I respond to that kind of a thing. So I was like, well, how does that work? And then we talked about it. I was like, wow, God foreordained that you would do that. So, but if you were a jerk, you're still responsible for being a jerk. And he's like, yep.
But because I did it in love,
that's right.
I did it in faith. That was to the glory of God, right there.
God was glorified by you getting a pen stuck in your eye. But Jimmy, all of this, I think, raises a fair question, which is, people are going to be naturally wondering, what has God decreed in my life? And so Benjamin asks, should we be curious to know the divine decrees?
No. Deuteronomy 29:29, for secret things belong to God.
In fact, that passage is great, and he goes on to explain this in the next question, but the secret things belong to the Lord, but the things revealed belong to us. And so, and this is where, in Reformed theology in particular, you talk about the decrees of God, or the will of God, right? And you've got his will of purpose, which is his secret will, or his sovereign will, or his decree. And then you've got his moral will, or his will of command, or his will of precept. And those are the things that are revealed. So on the one hand, he says, should we be curious to know the divine decrees? I think the reality is we are curious. And I don't think it's wrong to be curious, to wonder. But I think what he's pushing on here when he asks that question is, should we be trying to discern what the decrees of God are? Should we try to interpret providence as it is unfolding and then predict, okay, well, this is what's going to happen in the future? Because that's not what we ought to do. They are secret things, and we cannot know them until they come to pass. So what is the will of God? Well, if we're talking about his sovereign will, most of the time, the vast majority of the time, you're not going to know what his decree is until it happens, unless it has been revealed in Scripture. Like Jesus is coming back. That's a part of his will of decree. And so we know, well, there's one that we do know. We don't know when, because that has not been revealed. So you are probably somewhat curious about the decrees of God, but we shouldn't be trying to pry in to figure out what God is going to do in the future if it hasn't been revealed.
Trying to, watch the stars and roll in chicken bones.
Yeah, blood moon on election day or whatever. So
orange moon.
Was it orange moon bad?
Well, I don't know about. It might be good.
Listen, man,
you know how to decree it. You don't know how to interpret that sign.
Would it be possible to put a satellite out there and to project the name Trump on the moon so that you could see it from the Earth? Because that would be a big get for Trump for ads. I wonder if you could do that. Let's figure that out.
We're gonna figure that out.
We put D&D up there.
Yeah. We could pay for that. We can afford
have the
that.
Company sponsor it. Come on.
Oh yeah.
What's a satellite cost? I don't know. A couple $1 million or something. I don't know.
Couple million?
I don't know.
Anyways.
So, but then he asks, so are God's precepts then, and not his decrees, the rule of our conduct?
Yes. Deuteronomy 29:29 again. Things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children.
Okay, relax Presbyterians. Okay, because we agree with that too. Okay, doesn't mean we're supposed to baptize our babies. So everybody just chill. Yeah, I mean, we know what, and this is why we talk about, the will of God being talked about in these two ways: His will of purpose or decree, and His will of precept or duty. So we look to God's revealed will, His will of precept, so we know how to live as His will of decree is unfolding in our very lives, which is great because we don't know the divine decree, right, for our lives. We don't know what's going to happen today or tomorrow, but we do know how He wants us to conduct ourselves as that's unfolding in our lives.
Yeah.
And for me, again, I know for you, that is super encouraging because God has not left us alone. I mean, His Spirit is with us, and it's not just that His Spirit is with us who can guide us. He has explicitly, specifically told us what He wants us to do in all situations. It doesn't mean that we always know what choice to make in some of these more specific, nuanced decisions, like should I get the blue car or the red car? But His revealed will does tell us to not be greedy, and to not be boastful, and to not be proud, to be good stewards of the money that He has given us. So that should then govern over the blue car and the red car, for example. So we don't have a clear answer for every decision that we have to make, but in all of our decisions and in all of our circumstances, we are guided by His Spirit and ruled by His word.
Well, goodness,
man, you're having a rough day.
I told you, man, the Red Bull is just
Red Bull, nice breakfast.
I know, that's my breakfast.
Empty stomach, Red Bull.
Well, we'd love to hear your thoughts. You can follow us online on Instagram and Twitter at DocAdiva, or on Facebook /Doctrine and Devotion. You can head to the website, drdevotion.com. There you can contact us. You can sign up for the email blast. Hit up the store, jofostore.com, and grab some gear. Fresh pod every Monday and Thursday. Later.